The other day, I tried out a few recipes made by AI. You can see that over here. And let's just say they were not entirely successful. I am not one to waste food, so today we are going to salvage those AI recipes and make them into something we want to eat. We're gonna start with the first recipe we made, which is this artichoke lobster situation. Now, my boyfriend did weirdly actually eat like half of this, so we only have about maybe a cup left. I thought it would be fun to supplement it with a little bit of hearts of palm, which was one of the original suggestions anyway, so we'll have both of those flavors going on. And in keeping with the sort of seafood theme of it all, I thought we would make these into crab cakes. I'm gonna start off by just chopping this original lobster mix more finely. You could use a food processor for this, and I might wish I was, but honestly, I don't really wanna wash it right now. So we're gonna see if we can just make do with a knife. Now this mixture here is just a little bit of mayonnaise, some mustard, 2 cups of artichoke hearts, smoked paprika, Old Bay. I think that's it. Oh, a tiny bit of parsley and a tiny bit of lemon. And those are actually a lot of the things we're gonna be adding back in anyway. And we're gonna chop this can of hearts of palm similarly. I also have a few mushrooms that need to be used, so I'm just gonna add these in too. Washing the food processor would have been easier. Some finely minced onion, a gigantic clove of garlic, some fresh parsley, a sprinkle of dried dulse seaweed, maybe a little more, and a bunch more of the Old Bay. Breadcrumbs, just give it a little mix now. And some mayonnaise to help everything bind together. Mix, mix, mix. All right, I'm making balls that are about 2 tablespoons worth, and then squishing them down into little patties and popping them in the hot pan. Our next recipe is going to use this lentil bread, if you will. So I thought I would try and rebake this into what I think it should have been all along, which is a lentil loaf. Now, I don't know if it will actually set if I bake it a second time, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna start by just crumbling it up with my hands. And half a cup of soy sauce. I've got half a block of tofu that I'm just gonna crumble in here for a little more texture. We've roughly minced a couple cloves of garlic, about half an onion, and we're gonna cut this carrot into very small cubes. This should just add another little texture to our loaf. I don't know, I think everything tastes better with vegetables. We're just gonna add this little bit of daikon as well, small cubes. And for some more flavor, I have this garlic teriyaki sauce. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with it, so I'm gonna add some to our meatloaf. That should add some garlic, some umami, and some sweetness. Now let's just mix this up. I hope this turns out, because right now I will say it looks like a mess, but I'm gonna trust the process. And that's pretty questionable given the fact that the process was invented by me, and I have never made a vegan meatloaf before, or any kind of meatloaf before. Now I'm gonna do like the original recipe. I'm gonna put it in this loaf pan and bake it at 350 for around 45 minutes. That's it going in. I just remembered that meatloafs often have a glaze on them, so I think I'm gonna do that. About a tablespoon of a vegan Worcestershire sauce, and about 3 tablespoons of ketchup. I'm using this Melinda's version that is actually habanero, so it's gonna be a spicy ketchup. And then about a tablespoon of brown sugar. And we'll get it back in the oven. And it's time to eat. We have our little crab cakes here. That is a big improvement. You still taste the brininess of the artichoke and the hearts of palm, but you get a lot more flavor. You get the fresh parsley, you get the garlic, you also get the crispiness from the outside. It is soft, but it holds its form well It is begging for like a tartar sauce though. I used all my mayonnaise up earlier, so that's not gonna be happening here. But this, definitely an improvement over the lobster rolls. I'm very happy. Our meatloaf, on the other hand, was a bit of a fail. I ended up cooking it for nearly 2 hours, which is about twice as long as I think it should have taken. And it's still not set. And I don't know if that's because it was already baked, or I think likely I added too much water when I was very much trying to make sure that it wasn't going to be too dry. Still, I'm gonna do the closest I can to cutting a slice. It might be more of a pile, and we'll give it a try. And this is what we got. It's kind of a slice, and in a more real sense, it's a pile. Time to taste. This is what I will say. We have definitely improved the flavor here. It is savory, it is salty, it is complex. The pieces of daikon and carrot are really nice, but ultimately it is mushy. I would say we did not improve the texture. Now, I do think you could make something really nice if you took all the flavor components I added, blended it in with the lentils, and then added the larger chunks of chopped carrot, chopped daikon, add the crumbled tofu. I think you would have a really nice meatloaf then, but this is not the best. Part of me wants to pretend like this didn't happen and just not share this recipe or cut out the lentil loaf part of it, but I don't know. This was experimental cooking, and part of experimentation is failure. And in order to avoid a publication bias, I think it's important that you publish your failures too. So I hope you enjoyed my failure. Anyways, let me know in the comments, what would you have done to try and save that AI lentil bread? Or what would you do now to try and save this AI Valerie lentil meatloaf? Thanks for sticking with me through this chaos. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe so you can see next time we post. Thanks, bye-bye. So I was just editing that video and I think I was a little bit harsh on my meatloaf. Like, it certainly could have used an extra binding agent or maybe less moisture, but as it cooled down, it did firm up some and it was pretty tasty. We actually have eaten, I think, almost all of it in the last couple days. My boyfriend in particular has had a lot of meatloaf sandwiches, which I didn't know were a thing. But I thought I would pause here and give myself a little bit of grace. Was that the best meatloaf in the world? Certainly not, but it wasn't too bad. Y'all, it really was not that bad. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, and PPS, if the people who grow your food are deported or too scared to come to work, your food is going to get a lot more expensive.